Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a great start to your week so far. It is actually Monday. Usually I record these earlier, but this week we're actually recording on a Monday, so different things. So all of the things I'm talking about will be like real-time stuff and not just like when is Matt actually doing this. So as you can see, a new guest with me this week, Kelsey. Thank you so much for jumping on here to discuss social media marketing with everyone that watches or listens to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's absolutely my pleasure. So, if you followed the show and any of the formats, we have new formats now, which I'll be talking about soon here. We kind of start off the discussion with some motivators, what we're doing for the week ahead. So, what's motivating me this week? So, a lot of Philly sports things motivating me. The Sixers playoff season starts tonight. Fingers crossed they do better than last year. We'll see. No real expectations for me. Just going to enjoy the ride here at this point. But I'm going to the game on Sunday. It's going to be a busy Sunday for me, actually, for Philly, Boston in general. So I'm going to the Phillies Red Sox game Saturday or Sunday, as well as the Sixers Celtics game that same day. So a packed Sunday for Matt this week. Hopefully the weather's a little nicer this coming Sunday than it was last Sunday when we were in Sesame Place and it rained the entire time. So fun Sunday with a toddler in a rainy amusement park, let me tell you. But this Sunday, looking forward to more stuff, more outdoor activities, hopefully, which is another thing motivating me. The nice weather in general. When it downpours for like 4 straight days, the sun's actually out today. It was like crazy. I opened my front door and the sun was shining. It was like, wow, spring finally when we get to the 1st of May. So hoping that leads to some more outdoor activities with my wife and daughter this coming weekend. We'll see. Weather at this point looks like it'll be okay. Things can constantly change. And the last thing that's motivating me for the week ahead. So with a toddler, my wife and I used to go to the movies like once a week. Now we go maybe twice a year to the actual theater. We watch movies as a family every Friday at home. But once or twice a year, there's a movie big enough that we're like, let's find a sitter, let's get out of the house, let's go see this. Because gauging by our family movie night, my 3-year-old is not yet ready for a movie theater experience. So she's going to stay home. And this Thursday, my wife and I are going to go see the new Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So looking forward to that as well. That's one of the probably 2 movies we'll get to this year. So goals for the week ahead. So what do I have going on? So the first thing is I want to do a little bit more variety in my posting. If you follow me along, I have a few like themes that I'll try to follow along with. So I'm always looking for new things that I can post just to add some variety to what I'm getting up. And the other thing, over the weekend, we have a few remote positions that I'm recruiting for, and we got a ton of applicants for those. So just making sure this week I am taking the time to respond to everyone that applied for the roles, whether that's a moving forward or try to give them some feedback in terms of why we won't be moving forward. But that is the other goal for this week, is just to address that. And my win from last week, I've talked about it for probably a year now, but I finally got this show, Maximize Monday, set up on podcast hosting sites. So now you don't have to go to YouTube if you want to watch the full episode. You can listen to it on your podcast hosting sites. And that's exciting for me because I finally did that. It took me all of 20 minutes to do it. So after like putting it off for a year, that's what I finally accomplished. So a win for me. So that's what I have going on in my week. Kelsey, what is going on in your week this week?
Yeah, so this past weekend, my business I work for is a photography studio, and we had recital pictures for a local dance company, and we took thousands of pictures. So my goal this week is to really try to find a way to break that down into something manageable because I have to edit all the pictures and then complete all the projects. But something we did last week, my coworker and I developed kind of just a new process that made the entire day a little bit more seamless, and we actually saved a lot of work time. So it was kind of cool to see that play out. We weren't sure if it was going to work or not, but it was nice that it did, and it saved us a lot of time. But yeah, motivating me, I think, like you said, the weather is huge. Anytime the sun comes out, I just like feel happier, feel the need to like get things done versus like kind of staying inside and like maybe watching Netflix all day or something like that. And I think too, this past week we watched the NFL draft. And so just seeing like these people live out their dreams. Actually, one of my former students was drafted. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just being able to see them accomplish their goals, and to see too, like, it doesn't matter if you go in the first round or the last round, if you're Mr. Irrelevant, like, you could still do big, big things. And so I think that's just something that I try to take with me, especially coming from education, being a career transitioner, and just seeing like it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you're going.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And that's one of the reasons that we had discussed you joining the show. You've transitioned from education now a social media manager. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what a social media manager does, because there's a lot to it, which I'm sure you'd be happy to delve into. So, for anyone that's looking to get into that type of field and dealing with social media as kind of their direct line of work, what are some of the expectations, not just that you're hiring or your company puts on you, but that you put on yourself in terms of creativity and content?
Sure. So for social media managers, I think the biggest thing is actually having a strategy, following that strategy, having a content calendar. So I know when I came into my business now, they were just posting. They would post kind of sporadically. They weren't really posting every week or very consistently. And so that was the first thing I kind of did was, okay, we're going to post this many times a week, and we're going to post this type of content on this platform and this type of content on this platform, and just really like diving into to your target audience, especially on different platforms. um, I know a lot of times social media managers can end up, and I'm in a small business, so we wear a lot of hats, but it's like you're hired to do social media, and then all of a sudden you're doing blogs, and you're doing the outside marketing, and you're doing all of these other things too, which can be great, and I'm learning a lot. But as far as social media management goes, I think it's really following that strategy, that content calendar, and to looking at your data, your analytics.
Yeah, absolutely. And you alluded to it during your breakdown of goals, motivators, that you transitioned from education into this role. So did you kind of know when you were starting to, I'm going to look outside the classroom, that this was the direction that you wanted to go? Or was it something that you more organically grew into the more research you did into what you can do beyond the classroom?
For me, it was kind of strange because I've just always wanted to be a teacher. It was my whole life. And so when I kind of had the realization that, like, I think I'm burnt out and need to go, it was almost like a shell shock. Like, I had to like take some time, just not even to figure out what I was doing, but just like figure out who I was apart from teaching, and like to separate my identity from that. But once I really thought about it, like, marketing was kind of natural. I had managed the yearbook at my school for the past couple of years, and so I learned a lot about like marketing that, and we use social media to market it. And so I'd been doing some of that for the past couple of years, and it was something I was really, really interested in. And it was really the yearbook that got me to see like a world outside of education, and to see that I could do it, that I had the skills that I needed to like be successful in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I heard you allude content's key for anyone in social media marketing and management. So that's not just true for companies, but for individuals as well, especially the job seekers. So how important was that for you then, as you're making that transition to build your brand in terms of who you are, so that, potential employers and hiring managers could see that on your end, as well as what you can bring to the table?
Yeah, so I had had a LinkedIn since college, but I had probably been on it 3 times. Like, for, I think with teaching, at least in this area, it wasn't like a huge deal. You didn't really need it. So I logged back in more like over a year ago now at this point, and I was like, what do I do here?
Mhm.
And I just started following people and really like seeing what they were posting, what's kind of hitting. Are people only posting about jobs, or can I post a little bit more personal stuff? Not probably what I would post on Facebook or definitely like TikTok or anything like that, but is it just like, here's what I did at work today and kind of thing. And so just to see that we are like humanizing LinkedIn, I think was huge, and to show like who I am as a person. And so I took a wild like backseat just watching, and then finally I was like, okay, I'm going to post. And so I started posting more of like what my accomplishments were at school, but also like who I am and what I'm really interested in. And now I think I take that still every day. Like, it's not just this is the social media stuff that I'm doing, but it's also how can I help other teachers, or how can I help other social media managers, and realizing too that you get more out of the posting if you're trying to give value to other people, and it's not just like this selfish thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So a question I get a lot, I'm sure, the transitioning teachers you've spoken to is as well get this a lot, but it's all about the transferable skills, so what can I showcase from my education background that's going to help me in a new field. So for you in social media marketing, what's that feedback that you try to give? What are some skills that you had developed as an educator that you really need to be successful in social media marketing, and has made this transition an easier one for you because of that?
I think for me, I am kind of like beyond organized
Mhm.
and I'm used to really working on deadlines. And even with teaching, I maybe didn't necessarily know that I was like working on these deadlines, but it's like if I, as an English teacher, I wanted to have their papers graded by a certain time, that we had to have grades due by a certain time, that kind of thing. And then managing the yearbook, we had those deadlines. And so working with deadlines, being really organized, breaking down material in ways that tons of people can understand and that different audience types and learners can understand, that's something that we do naturally as teachers. Like you don't have 150 or even 30 students that all learn the same way. And so, how can I appeal to a mass of people? I think was huge. And I mean, communication skills, customer service skills, like the list honestly is kind of endless. And I didn't realize that when I first was deciding to leave. I was kind of like, I'm just a teacher, or what am I supposed to do, or that kind of thing. And now I really see like just how much just the skills that I can bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another question that I see a lot, or frustration that you see a lot, is the imposter syndrome and the interview prep. Because, it's, can I do this? I'm just a teacher, like you said, what are they going to see that I can bring value to? And there's a ton. So how did you kind of combat that early on in the transition and getting in, not just in terms of, yes, I can do this, but also preparing for an interview in the corporate setting versus preparing for an interview in the classroom is extremely different. So how did you prepare for the new interviews that you were going to be taking on as well?
For me, it's about research. Like if I really know the company and know the people that are working there and know what they're doing, what their goals are, I feel a lot more confident going into it. And I was like that even with teaching. Like I wanted to really show that I knew about the school, but now it's instead of school, it's this new company. So you might have to wonder, like, does she have the right background? But you're not going to wonder, like, does she know enough or is she going to put in the work or anything like that? Because I'm showing you that through my interview. And that was something that I just think is really important because they can look at my experience and see, well, she was a teacher. She doesn't have 5 years of social media experience. No, but I have all of this experience that I'm bringing that I can give like a whole new light to in my new position. So I think just being able to, one, know the company, and two, know that your skills are transferable and show them how you can bring value.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other question I get a lot, and you can probably speak to this, is, building your brand on LinkedIn. A lot of educators struggle on that because, like you said, you hadn't really used LinkedIn too much. I certainly did not when I first left the classroom. I was like, what is this? And even it took me a few years as a recruiter to finally understand what I can do on social media, on LinkedIn. So for you, how important, or what advice would you give to anyone that's struggling with that content creation, with that branding? What can you tell them in terms of getting them started on their posts and their presence?
It's weird because I think the two things I have like almost contradict each other, but it's like one, following people, like following these creators that are doing it every day and that are doing it well and seeing what's working for them. Like they have certain hooks probably and they have CTAs, or again, like their post might start all about them, it's I, but it's probably ending you and like what you can do. And so following some of that format and just learning that kind of naturally by reading. But then it's also the idea that at some point you just have to do it. You just have to post and like you can't be scared of it. So yeah, you might want to follow people for a certain amount of time, but then maybe say like, okay, I'm going to follow people for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And on this day, I'm going to start posting. That way you're not constantly kind of like talking yourself out of it. Because for me, it was kind of like, well, no one cares what I have to say, or I don't have anything to say, or I'm scared to post this or something. But eventually, like it gets so much easier, and you're constantly now. It's like I look forward to posting every day, or I look forward to reading everybody else's posts and to comment and stuff like that. And when I first started, I was kind of like, well, I don't know what I'm doing here. So I think it just gets so much easier and more natural the more you do it. So yeah,
Yeah.
just doing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So a ton of great insight that you've given already. So the one question I like to ask to kind of wrap things up is more so what benefited you during your job search, during your transition? Now, was there a piece of advice that you received that you felt was very helpful, or something that you did that you would encourage other people to do beyond just the posting, the content creation? You know, what else would you recommend as in terms of getting over that hump and getting started on your job search?
I think like not just the posting, but commenting. And like building like actual relationships. Your posts are great if you're like putting that value and time into them, but where LinkedIn really like surpasses all other platforms, especially in terms of job seeking, is like comments and DMs and like building actual relationships with people. If you're not commenting or you're not at least responding to your comments and things like that, you're missing like a huge chance on there. So I think that was huge for me, was like realizing that those relationships are so important and that I don't have to be scared to like reach out to people, because people are so helpful. They want to help you and they want to see like other people succeed. And so understanding that too, like understanding it's a platform where people really do just want everyone to kind of do their best and to succeed, and just knowing that like you're not bugging anyone, or if they don't get back to you, like maybe follow up once and maybe that person just doesn't have time right now, but you can try someone else, and like just not getting discouraged and like the networking part of it either.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Networking is key for sure. So,
Yeah.
Kelsey, thank you so much for jumping on here with me. I appreciate the insight that you gave everyone, not just in terms of transitioning from education to social media management. I know I have a few connections that would be very interested to see how you did it, but also, you know, what you can do continually to stand out on the platform itself. So if you're not connected with Kelsey already, make sure you're sending that request. Otherwise, we hope you have a great week ahead, and we will see you next Monday.